Today, I'm joined by journalists of IGAD member states. IGAD is an abbreviation that stands for Intergovernmental Authority on Development. So in my brief interview with journalists of IGAD member states, I'm going to raise issues related with peace, security, development, and integration. Stay tuned. So my guest is very warm welcome to Pulse of Africa.
Thank you for having us.
So what's your assessment of peace and security situation in the Horn of Africa, in the Eastern Africa? Let me start with Ekon.
Well, thank you for having me. As someone who has grown up in the region, I wouldn't say we are doing so bad, but at the same time, we're not there where we're supposed to be. But of course, thanks to our heads of states for always, sitting around and trying to fix. And kudos to you, by the way, Pulse of Africa, for putting up such an initiative, because I believe personally that there is no reason some other person should be telling our stories when we are around to tell our stories, because nobody knows my house than I do, right? Yeah.
The East Africa region, or the Horn of Africa, is really in the crisis. If you can follow the Congo, there is M23. You go to South Sudan, Brazil, there was kind of skirmishes between the opposition. And then if you go to other countries like Somalia, there is issue of Al-Shabaab, it still exists. And then if you look at how the IGAD head of state are trying to look for a solution, because the African Union, they're saying that African solution should be handled by Africans. In my own opinion, the East Africa and the IGAD, they need to do a lot in how to handle this conflict.
Sorry for interrupting you.
Yes.
I will come to those points later, bit by bit in my show. Diana, let me come to you and let us hear your views and reflections regarding peace and security in the Horn of Africa, in the Eastern Africa.
Okay, thank you very much. Once again, my name is Diana Akulo from Uganda. I come from Uganda, where the Uganda People's Defense Forces are doing so much in the war in Somalia in regards to the Al-Shabaab fighters. Yes, we all know, UPDF, we all know how much UPDF is working on towards fighting the Al-Shabaab fighters, yeah? So we hope that there could be other forces in East Africa or the Horn of Africa that could do much to fight terrorism and extreme violent extremism in East Africa or Africa, or to combat violence in Africa, so that we can have development. You see, where there is conflict, there cannot be development. Yeah.
We have a lot of problems in Africa. We have a lot of war in Africa. Just in East Africa, especially in East Africa, we have the terrorists in Somalia, and we have Congo and Rwanda's war. All of these wars is not better for us Africans. And the solution is in the hand of Africans. Yes.
Yes. Now listen, let me come to you. So as a journalist, as a person who is closely following the peace and security situation in the Eastern Africa, how do you explain the situation?
I think I would also join my colleagues in agreeing that when it comes to peace and security, so far we've not been doing well. But I believe that majority of the people, or the African people, have come to a realization that most of the problems we have when it comes to peace and security can only be sorted by ourselves. So I believe it's time we all come together. And just like they've said, programs like the Center for Peace and for Preventing and Countering Violent Extremism have been very helpful in bringing people together and doing capacity building, so that they can at least bring the knowledge to them that the messages that are spread by these terror groups and the peace-threatening groups can always be countered, and they are not factual.
First of all, I would like to say there is no nation, there is no region can develop without peace. Africa, some African countries, especially those in the Horn of Africa, are in crisis. In Sudan, they have a conflict in South Sudan, in DRC Congo and Rwanda, apart from now the internal conflicts that we have, some of them concerning leadership and other issues. When we have conflict, so many people suffer, so many development suffers, women and children suffer. So I would like to say that it is the high time that Africa, we put our house in order. So we would like to urge the African countries and leaders to come together. The key word here is collaboration, so that they come together and look for solutions, because they own the solutions to their problems. No one will come from outside to solve our problems. Thank you.
Yeah, I love that. No one will solve our problems unless we do. So as Sirach eloquently explained it, the situation of peace and security in the Horn of Africa and Eastern Africa is worrisome, isn't it? Yeah. As she rightly said, we have been witnessing the prolonged conflict in Sudan, and we are also witnessing fresh conflict between Riek Machar and Salva Kiir Mayardit in South Sudan. So there are lots of problems in the region. So how countries of member countries of IGAD and member countries of Eastern Africa should work collaboratively to prevent further conflict and to de-escalate the existing conflicts in the region?
First thing that we need to do as African countries and the Horn of Africa, we need to start learning from one another. If you look at Sudan and South Sudan, they were once one country. They fought for 21 years, and then South Sudan separated from Sudan. After some time, Sudan went to war a few years ago. So what are we learning from these two countries? What has Sudan learned from South Sudan, from this war that they had 21 years and they had to go back to war? And if these two countries are having the same thing, what are we learning from Somalia? Because if Sudan had learned from their past history, they could not have gone back to war, because we all saw what war did to that country. We saw what war did to Somalia. Somalia used to be, I think, one of the richest countries. Mm-hmm. But look at what was done to Somalia. Mm-hmm. And yet we learned nothing from that. We still went back to fighting. Collectively, Africa can be a great continent. The Horn of Africa can be great. And the fact that we have regional organizations that address such issues, it means we have people that actually care about the region. So it's a matter of reaching that message to the grassroots level for everybody to have it, so that, the region, the continent, and globally, who knows, Africa could be leading the world in the peace process.
That's quite insightful, isn't it?
Yes, mine will not be far from her, but if you look at the geopolitics of the East Africa itself, it has an issue. You find that some leaders who are having their own interests, so they will have a side, and there is so. At the end of the day, like in my own opinion, is go back to the leaders of South Sudan or all those countries. They need to build trust, because peace began by yourself. At your home, then you call somebody. But if you start like you are feeling that you're going to lose, and then you're inviting somebody, that person also may invite another country to come and also participate. So now the conflict will be bigger conflict, like the one happening in Rwanda with Congo, because there's kind of accusation. But then it needs the real dialogue and then discussion between all the leaders, is what I can say. Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Diana, so how governments in the Eastern Africa should do to prevent conflicts and to de-escalate the existing war, violence, and political crisis in the region?
First of all, there should be platform for mediation. I know the platform for mediations have always been there, but they have not been working. So now there should be another approach to that. We should involve people that can be listened to by the presidents, people that can be listened to by the young generation, people that can be listened to by the media. You see, when it comes to war, it is women and children who are most affected. Maybe we need to understand that as media, even we also have a role to play in combating conflict. How are we reporting conflict? Why are we giving these terrorists, and why are we giving them so much audience? So as media, we should also look at how we are reporting these stories.
In fact, media is a double-edged sword. I mean, if we can apply media for good, for development, for peace building, for de-escalating conflicts, of course you can. And to the reverse, we can also apply media to distract the nation. That's super important idea. Thank you for that. Mohammed, let me come to you. So what will be the responsibility of organizations and institutions like IGAD, Intergovernmental Authority on Development? Apparently, such kind of organizations are established to promote peace, security, and development in the region. So what will be the role of such organizations in preventing conflict and building peace and development in the area, in the region?
Yes, thank you. And you know that IGAD is the link between states. We have 8 countries are on in IGAD. And to solve this conflict, we need to do community engagement, and we need to collaborate, like law enforcement, media, and religious leaders. All of these entities of the population can collaborate to solve problems in East Africa.
Yeah. Nalistan, what's your advice and recommendations for governments and organizations in the Eastern Africa to prevent conflict and to build peace?
Yeah, I think they both need to work together. And when they work together, it's easy for them to attract all these entities that have the strength to influence the communities, and also to spread the right message that when we come together, we are able to solve our own issues. I think if IGAD continues with the same mission it does, like bringing in professionals with all these skills and then training them on how they can go back home and spread the information to more people, how the media can be able to report without propagating the agenda of the terror groups or the extremist groups. This would really help, because the communities will become enlightened, and they would understand that the messages that are kind of propagated by these extremist groups are really targeted to destroying your life. It's not something that they are going to help you with.
The biggest problem that we have is African themselves, our African leaders. We don't trust one another. Uganda does not trust Kenya, its neighbor. South Sudan does not trust Sudan. Rwanda, we've seen it in Rwanda and DRC. So we don't trust one another, and to make it worse, we trust other people from outside, so that we continue fighting and other people are gaining from our riches, our resources, so that we continue fighting. And that is what our enemies would want, so that we continue fighting. We are fighting, and then they come, they take our copper, they take our cobalt, they bring us arms. You know, now they are fighting. So we lose focus. We start focusing on the war, whereas our minerals are being stolen. Our people, our human resources are being exported outside the country. So first of all, we need to build trust. We trust one another. If it is your neighbor is Uganda, trust your Ugandans, because they are the closer people who can help you.
African leaders do not trust each other. Trust is a very basic thing, isn't it? She reminds me of the book of Professor Chinua Achebe, African author. In Things Fall Apart, Professor Chinua Achebe said, when brothers fight, the enemy will take the resources. And you rightly said it. Thank you so much. Let us talk about development, sustainable development, because one way or other, it's lack of development, it's poverty, it's economic crisis that pushes communities to conflict, to war. So in your view, what are the main challenges of sustainable development in Eastern Africa, in the Horn of Africa?